Okay, if we're gonna do a little review of what we saw for the week. For the week, we saw surface area of prisms. Now, a prism means that the base and the bottom, there's two bases, are going to be the same shape. They could be triangles, it could be rectangles, it could be anything. So the two bases, the top and the bottom are the same, and everything else are rectangles. Kind of like a room, in a house. The bases are going to be the ceiling and the floor, and then rectangles as the walls. Okay, so let's take a look. Question number 13. The instructions for today are going to be find the surface area. If you do have decimal numbers, in your answer, if you have a decimal number, make sure you round it up to the nearest tenth. That means one decimal place if necessary. So once again, find the surface area. If your answer happens to be a decimal, make sure it is rounded to the nearest tenth if necessary. Okay, let's take a look. Question number 13. Now, the bases happen to be triangles. So I'm going to draw two triangles. For triangles, I'm looking for the two numbers that meet at the 90-degree corner. So in this case, this number is 6, and this number is 8. I got them from up here. So for that triangle, I'm going to go 6 times 8. In my result, let me divide it by 2. So 6 times 8 is 48. Divided by 2 is 24. So each of my bases is 24. Because the base has 3 sides, I'm going to have 3 walls. Let's assume they're rectangles. Let me find the number that has nothing to do with my triangles. In this case, 3. I'm going to multiply 3 times each side of my triangles. So let me go 3 times 6, 3 times 8, and 3 times 10. Now let me add everything. I'm going to add the bases first. So 24 plus 24 plus 18 plus 24 plus 30, and I have 120. So this was the area of a prism, a surface area of a prism, a triangular prism. So the bases are triangles. But then we also talked about what if the base is a rectangle? You guys can see it here. Remember, prism means there's two bases, so there's two rectangles, and everything else are rectangles. I'm dealing with rectangles only. So, all right, so the bases in this case are two rectangles, and my rectangles happen to be a 6 by 12. I'm going to multiply the two numbers that meet at a 90-degree corner. So in this case, 6 times 12, that gives me 72. So each of my bases in this case is 72. Let me identify the measurement of each of my sides. There's a 12 and there's a 6. Let me identify the number that has nothing to do with the bases. In this case, 8. There's 4 sides on my base, so there's going to be 4 walls. And I'm going to multiply that 8, the number that has nothing to do with the base, I'm going to multiply to each side of my base. So I'm going to go 8 times 6, 8 times 12, 8 times 6, and 8 times 12. So 8 times each side of my base. All right, let me add everything up. I'm going to go 72 plus 72 plus 48 plus 96 plus 48 plus 96. And that gives me, according to my calculator, 432. All right, let's take a look at question number 15. Now, in this case, the base has 6 sides. So let me draw the base. I'm going to be dealing with two bases that have 6 sides. I know each side of my base is 11. So I know this side at the bottom is 11. I'm going to draw a little triangle here. For that little triangle, I'm going to go 11 times 9.5 and then divided by 2. That gives me that little triangle is 52.25. Don't round up yet. I'm going to round up the final answer, not my work. So I know I said if you have answers with decimals rounded to the nearest tenth, I'm not rounding up yet. I'm rounding up at the end. All right, so 52.25. I'm going to be dealing with 2 decimal places. My base has 6 sides. So that means that I could make 6 triangles here. You guys can see there's one, there's the second one, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. All right, so for me to find the area of the polygon, I'm going to go 52.25 times 6. That gives me that each of the bases is 313.5. The base has 6 sides, so I'm going to have 6 walls. Each side of the base is 11. The number that has nothing to do with the base is 12. So the way I'm going to find out how much is each wall, let me go 12 times 11. That gives me 132. Each of my walls is 132. All right, let me add everything. I see 132 6 times. So let me just go 132 times 6 plus 313.5 plus 313.5. My result, it gives me 1,419. 1,419. You were told to separate the commas, before in your life, you were told to separate with commas every 3 numbers. So 1,000, there's a little comma, 419. In your homework, if you forget that little comma, it's going to be okay. So if you write 1, 419, or just the numbers 1419, it will be marked correct either way. Okay, so the little comma for the homework, I'm going to leave it optional. All right, let's take a look at number 16. Let me erase this right here. Let me make this a little bit smaller, actually. All right, so in this case, my base has 5 sides. Each side of the base is 11. So I'm going to say this base right here, it is 11. I can create a little triangle here. For that triangle, for the area of that triangle, I'm going to go 11 times 7.6. And my result, let me divide it by 2. It gives me that little triangle is 41.8. I know I can make 5 triangles in each of the bases. And the reason why, because the base has 5 sides. So I'm going to go 41.8 times 5. So the triangle was 41.8. There's 5 triangles because there's 5 sides. So 41.8 times 5 is equal to 209. That means each of my bases is 209. There's 5 sides on this base. So that means if this was a room, I will have 5 walls. Each side of the base is 11. So I'm going to use this 11. The number that has nothing to do with the bases is this 12. So for the rectangles, the walls, I'm going to go 11 times 12. That gives me 132. So each of my walls happens to be 132. All right, now add everything. I see 132 5 times. So let me just go 132 times 5 plus 209 plus 209. And my result is 1078. Once again, the little comma in between the 1 and the 0, I'm going to leave it optional. Whether you type it or not, you will be marked correct.